And here we are, a legitimately live Garden Report.
Let's go.
Starting
Let's go.
This guy.
Let's go. Let's go.
Sherrod Blakely, Jimmy Toscano, Bobby Manning, Josue Pavone,
Woo!
John Zanis, Nick Gelso.
The whole family's
Wouldn't make
here.
it, but
We
brought
do at one
everybody
point.
together.
Joso's watching over us somewhere here.
Always
He's-
watching.
We
Hey.
got everybody here. We got Jimmy
Yeah.
in the garden. You guys
They
don't
snuck
have to,
me in.
You don't have to feel sad for Jimmy
big
anymore.
five.
He's here.
I want to thank everybody on Twitter and in the chats that pressured the powers that be to get me into the garden where I belong. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
So awesome, great. Honestly, it's cool that we get to do this.
This is
Cool that we
cool.
get to share this. The culmination of 4 years of, remote COVID bubble.
Live, you awake? Want to talk basketball? Live, you awake? Want to talk
Guys,
basketball?
want to do a show?
Yeah.
And we did it. And it culminates in a 2024 NBA championship, which was really the only acceptable outcome
Right.
for this season and for this group of people covering.
We wouldn't accept
the
anything
Celtics.
less.
Yeah, we wouldn't have accepted. They owed it to us. As much as they owed it to themselves and to the fans here. So for those of you who watched us for 2.5 freaking hours earlier,
Thank you.
thank you. And those who are still back
They're
and
the
are
real
insatiable,
MVPs.
I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'm happy to have you here. So guys, let's just take it down the line. It's soaked in now for a couple of. It's almost surreal, right? Because you cover one of these things. It's
Still
different than-
celebrating back
Still
here.
doing it. It's different than being a fan. You react differently because you spring
Lot of
into work
drinking.
mode and you do your thing. But now that it's a couple hours later, just walk it down the line. Josue, start with you. Just your kind of initial reaction on like, hey, they freaking did it.
Oh, it's unbelievable, man. To see these guys celebrate, to see these guys be emotional the way they were,
Oh, Mike.
I think that's a big part of like the great privilege we get to cover this, right? We've been seeing these guys for the most part for the last 2-3 seasons, talking about their potential, talking about what they need to do to become champions. But to see them do it the way they did it, this place turned into a party in that fourth quarter. To see these guys celebrate in the hallways, and you got the people's families here, the Whites, the Jaylen Brown's mom was here. Like, man, Derek White getting
Family
emotional
affair.
at the podium when he was asked about Joe Mazzulla. What a special moment that was. But, man, that dude knows how to party, too. I could tell. He came out here with all his friends, and they're all celebrating here. He's like, man, I barely even ate before this game. I was so, looking forward to what was going to happen. And now here it is, man, the moment that they all worked so hard for. Champions, 2024 NBA champs. Jaylen Brown's your finals MVP. Him walking down the hallway with the cigar in one hand. He had the Finals MVP trophy in the other. Man, Jason Tatum out here. Looked like he was the first one that was in tears. There we go. You know the vibes. There we
I
go.
had
Yeah,
one
spark
somewhere.
that.
I
Someone's
think
got a
I
lighter
lost
in here.
Yeah, in your
Man,
ear.
I'm
Don't
just.
get us
Oh, this
banned
is
for
it,
next
yeah.
season.
I'm
This
just
is it.
soaking it
Not a
all
cigar.
in, guys, to be completely honest with you, man, because, again, we've been covering this team for so many years throughout this entire chapter, essentially, and here it is, man. These guys earned it. They deserve it.
Which are
You're
on
2024 NBA champions. You can go down the line. All these guys deserved it, man, and you best to believe they're out here partying just like that, because they know how much hard work they put into it, and everything that they have coming to them, man, it's been earned.
What stood out to me, and I said this to John, there weren't many guys on this roster who didn't do anything, who came away from this team saying, oh, I didn't play, or I didn't contribute, or I didn't do a little something on this run. This is a pretty together group. This is a team that needed pretty much all the aspects of the team through injuries or rest or whatever it might have been during the year. You can probably count on one hand the amount of guys who didn't contribute, and a lot of those guys might be part of this team into the future.
This thing's falling apart.
The couple free agents,
Yeah, that's what Jaylen Brown was doing, man. He was trying to figure that thing out too, Jimmy.
there's probably some tweaks around the edges here. But this team, by and large, is going to be back. And they can try to do this again next year. That's the
You
pretty
calling a
special
repeat,
part
or you
about
already
this.
calling it?
They're going to be the heavy favorite. There's no
Sir.
doubt about it.
All right, you heard it here first. The Celtics are going to be the champions.
They
in
clearly are.
2025.
They should be the favorite, though.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose anything.
Yeah. Co-sign what you guys say. It's going into the season, consider the team to beat, and to just be that team from start to finish. Didn't really take any days off. They didn't really go into that huge slump. You had a couple stinkers. That's going to happen over an 82-game stretch, but they didn't really hit major adversity at any course of this season.
Injuries, Porzingis going down
They-
the playoffs, they hit some.
There wasn't didn't sound like there wasn't like infighting. It wasn't like they were pointing fingers at each
They
other.
weren't devastated by any of that stuff.
Like an injury didn't derail them for
No
any extended
drama,
period.
no injuries,
no drama.
no infighting,
We had
no
to. The
slumps.
most drama was probably on our show trying to figure out something to talk about on half the time.
Right, or what Bobby was talking about.
Right, what
I
Bobby
was
was
gonna say,
talking
is that
about.
true, John? Is that what it was? Were you just stirring the pot?
Sometimes we had to.
bring some
100%,
content to the
yes.
table?
I'm sorry.
I had Joe Mazzulla's mother tell me that she's a big fan of the show. I
As
said,
she should be.
Come on, you're being sarcastic right now. And she was like, no, I'm about to watch this show
Well,
as soon as I get home, she told me.
Mama Missoula, thank you for
Shout out,
watching.
Mama.
Appreciate your support.
Congrats to your son.
She told me that Joe would love the show, but he refuses to get into. He doesn't. That's just not
Probably-
what he's into.
probably
But
for the best.
She's
I
convinced
don't
that we're
think he would
entertaining
love
enough.
I don't think so.
She
Probably
thinks-
for the
she
best.
thinks we're entertaining enough that
Let's
Joe
just-
would be a fan.
I
Yeah,
don't
so
think
Let's
so.
keep
I
things
don't
the
think
way they
So
are.
Mrs. Missoula.
Yeah.
No,
I
my
saw Joe
favorite part
briefly
about
tonight.
this run that we've just witnessed is the pushback on the Jays not being able to play with each other narrative. It seems that no matter what they've done individually, there's always that, well, they can't win it together.
If they break them up, sure.
You never heard that in our
They don't
show.
get here.
No, never. But the way that they were able to finally figure out how to be impactful at a high level and do it on the biggest stage of all. Jaylen Brown being MVP at a time when, if you go by Game 5, Tatum was the better player in Game 5, I thought. But if you look at the course of the finals, Jaylen Brown certainly deserved it. And you look at the way the voting broke down, 7-4 in favor of Jaylen Brown being the MVP. Just a heck of a run by those two guys and all the supporting cast guys. Drew Holiday, Sam Hauser made plays, Al Horford, Derek White. You go down the line, and that is what makes this team so special. The fact that there wasn't one or two guys that you could lock in on and say, yep, we limit them, we're going to win. Couldn't do that because Tatum had nights where he just wasn't good. Jaylen, same thing, and the next thing you know, they go into whack-a-mole mode where someone else is popping up and giving you problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to get into the Tatum and Brown narrative
MVP.
entirely because they needed the help. They needed the other guys there too, and so I don't think it's a knock on Tatum and Brown to say, the two. You don't know, there's superstar tandems out there that are excellent, but if you don't have the parts,
Gotta have the
around
glue
it
guys,
and the
right?
other serious guys. I don't.
They led the team, John.
They did. I'm not taking anything away from them. I just think it's so hard to do what the Celtics did to assemble a team like this. With and again, it's not like just all-star caliber guys. It's like guys who just do their job
Without egos.
without
even away.
ego every
Yeah.
day. And so, we made the 2008 comparisons with this team on checking ego at the door, and everybody just decided, let's just win this thing. But that happened later in their careers. That's like the if I don't win it now, I'm never going to win it sort of thing.
Right.
Where you had guys who'd been individual stars on different teams for a while. These guys are still 26 and 27. Holiday's won it somewhere else. Derek White is like the happiest guy in the world to be here. And then Al Horford, 38. Ageless at this point. You bring in Kristaps Porzingis, a wild card. You have no idea what you're going to get out of him, and he's like this happy, smiling, honest dude that everybody loves, best friends with Jaylen Brown, opens up Jaylen Brown's personality in ways that we didn't see. It's the way it came together like that was very reminiscent of 2008, which is immediately oh my God, these
all of a
guys are
sudden,
amazing.
yeah.
Bobby and I, in the last show, when he popped on for a little bit, we said, you knew on day one, when Porzingis goes off for 30-something points the first game, you're like, oh, these guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And they
MSG
did it
game.
instantly, and it lasted all year.
Well, that's a testament to Brad Stevens, guys. I mean, that's a guy who was in the locker room.
Bobby,
Give it
give
to
him
him,
the
Mike.
That's a guy
Shove
who was
it
in
over
the
there.
locker room, knew what these guys needed, knew the personalities that they needed, and then went out and got them. And not only did he know about the situations that the Celtics players needed, but he knew that those other guys would fit because one, of the personalities, and two, because they were in situations throughout their career that they were in need of being on a championship caliber team. Whether it was Al Horford, which was literally day one, right? Traded for Al Horford as soon as he became the president of basketball operations. Whether it was Kristaps Porzingis and what he was doing in Washington, wait a minute, is this thing being overlooked here? This guy just was giving us fits. He fits a lot of what we need, especially when you look at what happened between the Celtics and the Miami Heat throughout that series. So that's a big hole that he knew that would be an upgrade at the center position. And then Drew Holiday, right? The guy who was so
Thank you, Milwaukee. Milwaukee. We didn't even shout out
Seriously, yo.
Milwaukee yet.
The guy who they didn't
Thank you,
even think
Giannis, for
twice
orchestrating
to
that.
trade away because they thought that Damian Lillard was going to solve all of their problems.
Imagine.
And guess what? It didn't.
They fumbled the bag
They had a
so
whole list
badly.
of problems that extend beyond what Drew Holiday or whatever that they were missing from, and they still didn't even figure that thing out. But anyways, that's beside the point. Like Brad Stevens just knowing like exactly what to do, what this team needed. I mean, it was huge, obviously, but we can't act like, we get Brad Stevens without Danny Ainge. I mean, if you want to go all the way back there, making the trades for obviously, the hardest trades that some GMs would have had a difficult job doing, which is trading Pierce, Garnett, down the line. I just think all that stuff matters when you look at the way this whole
Of course,
thing was
trading
built.
Isaiah Thomas.
Like from the very beginning. Yeah, right. Isaiah Thomas. But also just the criteria of knowing that, look, you do what's best for the team, and that's it. It's not easy. You're going to have to make that phone call, which he did, calling Marcus Smart in tears, saying like, hey, even talking about the way the way he had to trade Marcus made him emotional. But he was able to put that to the side and know what was best for the team. And that's essentially what put together this championship team and this championship window as quickly as they were able to put it together.
But that's how hard it is to win, guys.
Right.
You had to hit a home run. You mentioned Ainge. You had to hit a home run literally 5 times to get
Right.
here. Like, okay, you draft Jaylen
Seriously,
Brown, who
though,
people
5
didn't
times.
necessarily want, but imagine you take Chris Dunn or Dragan Bender or something like that. See you later. You're just spinning your wheels. Imagine instead of Tatum, you take Josh Jackson.
All right,
This whole
stop.
No, but I'm saying is like these were possibilities. Like this could go in or faults.
Josh Jackson.
Absolutely.
Josh
When you're
Jackson
not
didn't
there.
want to play in
The
Boston.
team that
believe it
did
or
draft
not.
those guys, that
Are
was a
still
mistake. The
in
Phoenix
nowhere
Suns,
land.
which is 2 of those, by the way.
It takes so hard to dig out of these situations when you blow these things and you hit them. Look at Philly and their process and how many picks they smoked. So you hit home runs, and even if Smart wasn't like all-star caliber home run, core player, at number 6 overall, not quite the superstar you wanted, but a core player for an extremely long period of time. And then to make the trade, as we said with Brad for Al, you took a shot at Kyrie. Everybody does that thing 10 times. 100 out of 100 GMs make the same exact deal that they made for Kyrie. And you bring in Gordon Hayward, and you're doing everything right, and you're attracting free agents for the first time ever. And that didn't go well. And for Brad to turn it around as quickly as he did is freaking insane. With the Horford move, and then Holiday, and then
The 2021
and-
roster
and
was
he-
a mess.
It's incredible to turn a
Remember how
roster
down
around
we
that
were
had
on that
that was
organization?
sloppy.
Yeah.
Tristan freaking Thompson. We're arguing over whether Tristan Thompson should be playing meaningful minutes.
starter.
And like not only that, like
I thought that was going to be a great move.
Jimmy loved
Oh,
this
my
guy.
God.
Bringing a
Jimmy.
guy, he's been there
What
before. He
the
knows what
heck?
it takes to win. He's
I like
been
that
around
move
LeBron.
originally, too.
Jimmy
Yeah.
loved it.
Wah,
I was
wah,
like
total
slamming my
bomb.
head. I was
Like, it's all
play
right, Jimmy. I don't
Rob,
know. This is
play
the move,
Rob.
though.
Mr. Kardashian himself.
Oh,
here's the
Jimmy.
thing.
He was looking for redemption, but now
I'd
that
like
doesn't
to have
happen.
that one
What
back
happened?
if I
my
could.
God.
We can
Goodness.
play the hits all night of all the moves.
I
they
think he
made.
was like a super spreader in COVID too. On top of it all.
Oh, so
Can't back
Let's,
that up.
let's forget about
Yeah.
Tristan.
We can play the hits all night about all the moves they made that got them to this
But
point.
you had to make that many to get there. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
But the big ones are the ones that
still
came
undefeated.
over the last year or so here
Yeah.
because so many of them aren't legal anymore. The Brogdon one isn't legal anymore. You couldn't trade all those minimums for that guy. Holiday, you couldn't trade Rob and Brogdon together if they tried to do that today because of the new rules. So they snuck in all those deals before the new rules were created that would prevent this kind of team from being put together, and they have it together
yeah,
now.
suckers.
You-
Whatever.
the
We're
other
done.
The other
We
thing
did
you got to take into
making
account is
rules.
that
Shoot that, whatever.
a lot of the
Making
deals,
rules up to stop the Celtics.
Yeah.
a lot of the deals that they made for players were players who hadn't quite reached their best version of who they are. I mean, Derek White, when they made the trade for him, and he had all those years left on his
There was
deal,
foresight.
it was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. Popovich is like the basketball coaching god, and he's willing to give this guy with all these years. What the hell are you
Right,
doing?
yeah,
Any
yeah.
team
What
could
are
have
you
had these
getting out of
guys
this
for
guy? And all he has done is just gotten better from 1 year, from 1 month to the next. And the thing that I love most about Derek White, he's a clutch performer. He's at his best when they absolutely need someone to deliver.
There were
Yeah.
a couple
Big
big
He
threes
has
tonight,
bailed
yeah.
this. He's bailed this team out of so many damn fires. And I think about how really great Jason Tatum is. Derek White is a better player in those last-second late-game situations. He's proven that over and over and over again. That doesn't make Tatum a bad player. It just makes Derek White someone who has a very specific role that benefits this team, just like Tatum has a specific role that benefits this team. And when you start going down the line, that's why they're champions.
Right.
Because they all have very specific roles that don't necessarily overlap with what some of the other guys.
They don't. Their roles don't overlap, but their ability to be the guy could be any given night, right?
Yeah.
So like
True.
when you're talking about Derek White, that there's nights where Derek White is that guy down the stretch or hitting that shot. I mean, tonight he had a couple big threes down the stretch in that fourth quarter when it looked like Celtics were going stagnant offensively.
Right.
And you know, if it's not Derek White, talk about Drew Holiday. I mean, he kind of started things off in the first quarter with a few baskets under the rim, even though he missed a couple of point blank as well. But Tatum and Brown did not have a hot start to this game, but it took some of the contributing players to really get the Celtics in gear. And then, you know, Tatum and Brown, as they're known to do, is will figure it out at some point for the most part. But that was the difference this year and prior seasons is you didn't have the Drew Holiday. You didn't have the upgraded Derek White, right? I mean, the first Derek White version of Derek White we got was, I mean, John had him shipped out for 2 second-rounders, I think. He was one. I didn't.
I'm on this island.
I didn't. I had nothing to do with that. But point being is, you got the level up Derek White. You obviously talked about Porzingis and what he's brought to this team when he was healthy and able to do so. And I think it was just so nice that he was able to. Bobby, can we at least? Can you see it now with Porzingis?
I see it now.
Okay, you see the light.
Here we go.
You see the light.
There we go.
Right
You
before
get
they
it.
signed off. Here,
Do we have a light bulb effect?
The light bulb's going off. You see
Now
that?
that it happened in this building and you saw the effect,
Yes. You saw
you
it.
saw what it brought to the floor.
And he wasn't. I think his first stint was a little
it was rocky.
helter skelter, but yeah, he got out there after that. I thought he actually just contributed. I don't think he wasn't just a decoy or a crowd pleaser. I mean, I think that he was able to have an effect out there.
You said something too in terms of egos, shots. The ball got where it needed to go on this team, and that's where Missoula gets credit. Is you had all these guys trying to fit together.
Yeah.
You had all these people who had major roles in the past, and you're like, how's this gonna work? Especially Brown. Early in the season, we said, what's Brown's role gonna be on this team? And that all got decided. They didn't have to drop plays for guys or go into a huddle and say, we got to get this guy going. Their offense was just find the guy with the worst matchup, and that guy's going to get the shots. And more often than not, that ended up becoming Brown, and that's how he ends up becoming Finals MVP here. I said to John, we had a conversation in November on this show about this might not work for Brown. He might not have a role on this team. He might be the guy who this messes with the most. And for him to win Finals MVP after all that, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But you got to remember too, like no other team in the NBA has a lineup of 5 guys that can all shoot the ball. I mean, that's what really makes the whole like, oh well, you live or die by the 3. And it was like, well, yes, but you know, when these guys are playing the right way, especially on the defensive end of the floor, those shots are more likely to go down because these guys they're good shooters. It's not about like you're trying to make these guys into. They're already like built that way, you know. Yeah. So I felt like it makes sense that the most efficient guy, Jaylen Brown, kept his efficiency throughout most of the postseason, wins Eastern Conference Final MVP, and then come out here to win NBA Finals MVP. This place went nuts when his name was announced. Part of that I feel like was a little surprise to it.
It was surprising.
But also the other part was they agreed with it as well.
Did you agree, Jimmy?
Hold on, time out. I have to do something. We have a small technical thing that we have to deal with. It's not going to do anything bad, but I got to just tell everybody here, you just have to pause for 30 seconds while we switch out a battery. You're going to get a screen that says wait for it. It's going to be a countdown. We are not going off the air. We just need quickly to switch something up, and we will be right back starting now.
Oh, because we have a be right back.
Tell me when. Are we good? We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. Is the thumbs up good? Yes, we're back. We're back. Good. Huh? What's thumbs up mean?
We're not sure. He looked at me like, I don't know. Like, don't look at me.
Kind of like shake. It was like he was shaking a dice or something. Yeah.
I feel bad for the people who thought they could run to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah.
Which camera?
We're back. We're back.
Yeah, it turned out.
Here we go. Let's have a bunch of delay upstairs. Go.
Yeah.
I was
anyway, go ahead.
I was asking
Finish your
Jimmy
point.
before we got off. I was surprised when they named Brown.
I know you were surprised because I had asked you before you left who your MVP was, and you said it was Tatum. And you said it was Tatum. I mean, in your defense, you've been saying it's Tatum the whole time. I thought it was a toss-up. I thought Tatum had
Through
a more...
3, it was Brown. It's
Yeah.
there where we argued.
Yeah.
Through 3, I thought it was Brown
Right.
by a million miles, and Vegas thought so as well.
I thought-
and you were still insisting Think and I think that's where we disagreed.
Yeah.
Right.
But over the course of the last 2 games,
Well,
Tatum had a slightly better game than Brown in
Yeah.
Game 4, and then I think a
Tonight,
bit,
Tatum had a
bit better game, so that might have tilted it.
I think Tatum had a more he had more opportunities tonight to be a better player. I just that the ball was in his hands more. He took more shots. I mean, he kind of missed a few shots that I think if he had hit them, he may have gotten that. Maybe he would have gotten that nod. But we've talked about it a couple of times already on the show. You weren't part of it, but basically, does it matter who the MVP was? Because the way this team played this year, Bobby,
They could have shared it.
there wasn't an MVP really, right? I mean, it
Oh.
was they could. I'm glad that they didn't share it because
Yeah.
that would have just been
That
such a
would've been
cop
silly.
out. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is this has been team basketball all season long. This is the best team from start to finish. And again, it could be Tatum one night, it could be Brown one night, but it's also been Holiday, it's been White, it's been Porzingis. I mean, hell, Horford's had a huge effect on this team. So you're not going to look back on this playoffs and say, whoa, Jaylen Brown put the team on his back, or whoa, Jason Tatum put the team on his back. They had their moments, but everybody had their moments, and that's why ultimately this team ended up winning the whole thing, is because they were the deepest team. Even Hauser, I had mentioned Hauser a few times today. Guys
He was an
contributed.
MVP.
He was an MVP, but you didn't need an MVP type of performance to win the championship on
Yeah.
this team, because you were getting enough from the other guys around it. So it would have been different, I guess, if one of those guys did go off for 40 each night or had a 50 burger or whatever, but they didn't. You're not going to look back and say, wow, iconic, elite, we witnessed greatness out of any of these players, but you're going to look back and say, that team was unstoppable. That was a team that you put them
Yeah.
against any other team, and they're going to figure out a way to win that
But
game.
I do quibble with that a tad, because I know when Tatum said it earlier that he had that kind of weird comment about well, none of you guys, we didn't fucking vote in any awards, which.
But it's not always sexy.
But the thing is now, I think we've taken the team thing a tad too far in making it seem like, again, like it's the 2004 Pistons. Which it's not.
It's not.
Jason Tatum is a 3-time
No, they do.
first
Team.
team All NBA, fifth and 6th in MVP voting. He's a star. Maybe he's not like that uber, top 2 or 3 guy that people, are trying to sneak him into that conversation. But at worst, he's somewhere in that 5 to 8 range.
But they're
that's a
still your 2
star.
best players.
And then Jaylen Brown, it's hard to argue he's anywhere outside. I mean, he finished 16th overall in All NBA voting. He's somewhere in that range too. These are 2 stars.
But they still were your 2 stars, but they
No,
didn't
but
need
I'm
to drop
saying
40 a
plus
night.
2 all-defensive players who have been all-stars with an NBA champion, Al Horford. This is star power on this team. I
Yeah.
do think it's discrediting the elite talent level of the best players when we just refer to it as a team. I think it's clicked a little too far. I mean, it's both. They have a ton of individually talented players.
I guess
but
that's what
also-
I mean, yeah.
but also played as a team. I think we took a little credit away from how good each of these guys is
Right.
individually by calling them this great team. And I think that's what nationally is going to happen. I think Celtics fans are going to have a beef with that too when it's just viewed
No,
as the
they're like a
collective.
super team is what I
Because
mean.
a super- Right.
You're talking about a roster where you look at their top 7, top 8 players. Other than Sam Hauser, everyone is either a lottery pick or a first rounder, damn near. And when you start getting players
Poor
who
Derek
are
White. Late first round.
late first
First
round,
round.
right?
First round.
Him, Peyton Pritchard, late first round. And
Redraft will be different, though.
Yeah,
Right.
you would. Yeah,
But you
100%.
have one guy in your top 8 who wasn't a first round pick. That's deep. I mean, that's a pretty damn deep squad you got there. And you're talking about, with Al Horford, Tatum, and Brown, guys were taken in the top 3, top 4. So let's not pretend as if they got a bunch of guys that Danny Ainge had to wipe the dirt off of and
Right.
scoop
No,
them
I
out
mean,
of middle of nowhere university.
You had a good mix.
I mean,
it's a
these are
different
really good players.
When I say a team, I don't mean like the Pistons at all. I mean they're just deep. They're all stars. I don't mean all stars, but they're all stars
in the role
on
that they
the
have
team.
to play.
Right. So, yes, Tatum and Brown are the top of that list, but they don't need to go 40 points a night in order to, like Luka does. You know what I mean? Like, they don't because of the extra help that they do have. Again, from other star players. I'm not trying to take anything away from Holiday, who's now a 2-time champ and still considered, I think, by his peers as the best on-ball defender in the NBA. And certainly Derek White with Holiday, they're both on the all-defensive team. They are the best defensive backcourt in the NBA. So there's a lot of help on this team, and it should definitely be noted. But that's my point, though, is that it's a super team. Like, I'm not going to look back on it and say, even though Tatum is a All-NBA, I'm going to look back and say this team was just stacked. Like, it didn't matter who they played.
The thing that surprises me, though, most about this Celtics team is that you've got all this talent, you've got a lot of young guys, and yet you don't have a lot of the intra-squad bickering that often comes about when guys are on the come-up, when guys are trying to figure out their place in, the NBA ecosystem.
And that's a credit to Joe.
It is because that's something that has to trickle down from the top of the command center, and that's Joe. And to me, it's really one of the biggest surprises about this Celtics team in the grand scheme of things, the fact that they don't have those type of issues. Because even if it's not talked about, you can see it on the court when those issues occur. Guys looking off other guys when they shouldn't.
Right.
A lot of miscommunications, and then there's no clear
There's no ulterior motives.
Right. But again, ego was not an issue for these guys this season, and the fact that they're still young, still on a come up, probably not going to be an issue going forward.
Can you guys remember a recent? And again, maybe there was one extremely recently, but do you remember a recent NBA Finals where every single team that you played was an afterthought? And obviously you had the Golden State one where they just ripped through that at 16-1. It's really incredible. It doesn't matter. You will remember nothing. Some fans will remember a little bit of dragging Kyrie, but beyond that, it's pretty friggin'...
I struggle to remember that they beat Cleveland. I did too.
I forgot Cleveland. I was like Miami, blah blah blah, Dallas.
It was so quick,
and the other
it was
one.
Over.
Yeah,
They just tossed them aside.
It wasn't just under pressure of being live. I literally could not recall a single thing about the Cleveland series.
Indiana,
but that was
Dallas.
I mean, they
it's like everything was an afterthought, and this team was a friggin' afterthought. And I don't want to spend a ton of time here just dragging Dallas, but they sucked. And
The
they weren't at the
made
Celtics.
them look like that,
they
though.
did, but they weren't anywhere near the Celtics caliber. And
no one was, John.
National media running away with dumb, bored narratives of whoa, they're gonna. I mean, the fact that I'm not just dragging on ESPN here, but I think it wasn't just the hot take mongers on ESPN. Their basketball analysts were picking down. What's wrong with you?
They played themselves, man.
Teams that were remaining out
they
west,
played
this
themselves.
was
This
the
was
weakest
clearly
match.
the easiest
This was the weakest
matchup.
one for the Celtics.
What happened to your brains that you started to think that this team, again,
They thought they knew ball way more than they did know ball.
They thought that because of the way the Western...
they were such an also-ran.
When
compared to
knowing
the
ball
Celtics.
goes wrong.
But they thought that because of the Western Conference landscape, it was so tough, because it was so hard for the Dallas Mavericks to break through, they thought that was going to carry over into a team like the Celtics. But they had never faced a team with this much depth. They had never faced a team that was riding high on a winning streak the way the Celtics were. So I'm with you. I don't understand why ESPN would choose them, but I think they were looking at the stars saying those guys can carry them through the finals. Those guys at the end of the day, or at least Tatum and Brown, they're going to buckle underneath the pressure. And it was why would that happen if they've been here before? And, they were one game away after being down 3-0 against the Miami Heat, and Tatum went down and all that stuff. I feel like Celtics never got the benefit of the doubt because they looked at the path the Dallas Mavericks had to go to. But it's but they never played a team like the Boston Celtics. And we found out what happens when they do a complete team like the Celtics. By the end of the series,
They fucked around and found out, as they
they
say.
messed around and found out for real, Jimmy. Because at the end of this series, we knew that talent
It's
would take over.
2:44 a.m. We can say fucked
can
around.
say
Like the deepest, they knew the deepest team was gonna win. That's exactly what happened. But the ESPN and the analysts and the other guys in national media, they gave these guys the benefit of the doubt, and I don't understand why. They gave Luka and Kyrie the benefit of the doubt.
And let's be real, they caught breaks. They certainly did. Mitchell, Butler, Halliburton. That's a pretty murderer's row of stars who went down and didn't play multiple games.
They
against them.
did.
What was going to
So that
happen?
adds
What
in-
was going to happen?
Yeah, no.
Mitchell was going to carry the Cavs to 4 wins.
He started that series, Bobby.
No, right. And you're still going to win those series. You're still going to probably go on to win the championship if those guys played.
So why do we even worry about that? I mean, if basically what we're coming to a conclusion is instead of beating this team in 5 games, it might take you 6.
Right.
You're still going to win the
They
series.
steamrolled
most
those
likely.
teams.
And frankly, I think the Celtics, what they've shown us time and time again, is that the better the opponent, the more locked in and focused they are.
Right.
So I'm not even. I mean, like Cleveland, if Donovan would have been healthy for all those games, I would have gone 5. I mean, they may have swept them.
Well, I was going to say.
If Jimmy Butler played for Miami, they may have swept them.
Yeah, and you didn't play the stars in those series, but to me, you got something out of each of those series. Miami's defense is such a potent threat.
Yeah.
Cleveland, I thought, played them great defensively, stacked the paint in a way that you were going to see against Dallas. And Indiana, that's like the most competitive sweep you'll ever see. They were
Very
down
similar
in
to the
3 of
Brooklyn
those
sweep
games.
a few years ago.
You had to win crunch time games in 3 of those games.
Three of the 4 games were Pacers
Yep.
to win. It was so yes, very competitive.
So, yeah,
Indy put them where they needed to be.
So
It's hard to not say that Indy was the toughest matchup of the 4.
They were.
So the fact
were.
is,
Sorry, Dallas.
from a winning percentage
I would
standpoint,
agree easily.
Yep.
it wasn't the hardest run ever. You certainly got some breaks with the other stars going down, but those were still incredibly challenging series, despite them being short, despite them taking care of business, and those stars being out. So that allowed them to dominate Dallas the way they did. I thought the Celtics were really tested coming out of the East.
And remember, the Celtics played a large chunk of the playoffs without their X factor.
Without
The one
Porzingis.
guy that we said from the beginning of the season, and we said during the season, and we said going to the playoffs, will be the difference maker for the Celtics to get that championship. And for them to consistently win without him, not only in the regular season, but also in the playoffs where the stakes are their absolute highest, it says a lot about their team and a lot about
Says
their
a lot
ability.
about Al.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, Al this is what Al does. I mean, this is who he is.
What's up with Al?
Imagine, and someone we just put up the comment. Imagine healthy KP through the playoffs. How ridiculous it is. They
may not
probably
lost.
cancel like 2 of the series. They just don't like.
I know.
I'm sorry. Like
Winning 3 in one of those series.
again, this was a 5-game sweep, and Porzingis effectively missed half of it. You know.
Yeah.
Going out, early in game 2. This wasn't even a contest with Porzingis. This was not a contest.
Game 1.
So
you saw
this
it.
is another thing that I'm going to lament a little bit, that the national, media didn't see the full force of the Celtics' might, here, because
Right, despite them going
16 and
16
freaking
and
3.
2 or whatever.
So again,
16-3.
yeah, and you know me, I'm the furthest thing from a Celtics apologist you're going to find here. Like the whole trying to make excuses for the team bucking that, but I think everyone just had so many things wrong about this team entering the playoffs, and I really do think it's because they beat the crap out of the East all year, and people just decided that they were bored with it.
Yep.
And they earned themselves a bad reputation the last couple of years. I mean, last year was a disaster. They had a great record. They had their moments. But they had to change the team. They had to shake things up. They had to find a new identity, Joe Sweat.
Yeah, but, I mean, disaster, I don't know.
They went down 3-0 to the 8th seed in these finals.
Tatum went down, though. We all forget that. If Tatum
But
doesn't
they
go
were down 3-0 before that.
I get that, Bobby, but the fact that they had the heart and the fight to go all the way back, and look, I'm not saying that,
Well, that saved Joe.
I'm not saying that night I was like, oh, well, too bad, you win some, you lose some. No, obviously we were frustrated, and we were like, man, what a way to blow it, but I think when you're a year removed from it, you're like, well, if Tatum plays, maybe things happen differently, maybe things, or whatever the case may be, but either way, they learn from that, and I think that's what the biggest takeaway about this year was. I mean, Jaylen Brown said that he was embarrassed about what happened in Game 7. It was the ongoing narrative before and after he signed that max deal, the richest deal in NBA history, and then now he goes out there and shows it, what he did throughout this postseason, what he did all season long, man, he's worth every dime. So I think all of that plays a part into what led to their focus, what led to their overall just connectiveness, if you will, with Joe Mazzulla and what he's been preaching. And obviously, and obviously, Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis was icing on the cake. I mean, it all worked out, but I don't look at last season as if like, man, this team was a disaster, or like, man, you got Marcus out of here. That was that's what they needed. No, I just think they all learned from that, and obviously the 2 added pieces, which sacrificed Marcus, right? Obviously, it was worth it at the end of the day.
Still want to give Rob a ring.
You still want to get Rob a
There's
ring?
no extraneous rings happening here.
I don't know.
Did
I'll go
Kyrie
give Romeo a ring,
Kyrie
then,
give
damn
himself
it.
a ring tonight in the press conference?
He did. He
Yeah.
did.
He said the students have become the teachers.
Yeah,
I
he
think
said
I
he
saw
said
that.
he was just like
And
a,
I'm the
That was the most
principal.
cliche Kyrie. You
That's-
could have bet $1 million that he was
He did
going to
not say that.
Again,
That's like a line that
to
you
the-
see on NBA 2K or
He
some
said
shit
that.
To the-
at the end of the season when you get the bubble quotes and
to
all
the
that.
very end, and Jimmy and I joked about this the whole
The
run.
my career mode.
Kyrie treated this entire finals run as if it was the rehabilitation of Kyrie Irving. Like, does everybody like me yet? Like, it's
Yeah.
almost like he didn't care about losing. Even after losses, he's like, you know, it's a journey.
You could
and
have
the
never
tutelage
It
told-
felt
and
like
the-
there was a
Yeah.
TED Talk every damn
Exactly.
post-game. I'm like,
it was a TED Talk.
Like,
I've
come on.
never
No,
seen.
and
If I was a
then-
Dallas fan, I'd be like, would
Just
you
Trent-
freaking get serious?
Yeah.
Can
Can we
you
give
be
us something
upset?
besides 5 for
Trace-
16
Trace
shooting?
crime
Can we
and
get
that
something
crap?
besides 5 for 16 shooting
I'd
if I'm
be
a
so-
Dallas
and then
fan?
his attitude
Real.
after, and like,
This is the worst one.
oh
What
my
he did to
God, I'd be
John, you weren't
fuming.
scared of him for a second in this series.
No, I did not think this was a Kyrie series.
No, it's not.
for him.
He can't play in Boston, man.
There's too many guys who can. Luka's Luka. He's going to get his no matter what.
He
he's-
wasn't that great either.
I mean, they made him work, but he's just tough. He's tough. I didn't think
that
Kyrie would get it going against these guys, against the guards that they have, even if you switch on to different people. I just never, ever, 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 ever. The other stupidest thing that was ever said before this was greatest backcourt ever. Like, come on,
Oh,
guys. They're
jeez.
good, but like, come on. Like
Greatest
that.
backcourt ever might be on the court.
I
Because
It
they
ain't
beat
them.
Minnesota. That's what all this is about.
I
Like
know.
like that 3-week span that drove me insane. Because number one, it was Denver, which I kind of agreed with. I'll be honest. Going into the postseason, I said that's the one team I think that could beat the Celtics in the best of 7 series. But then a week later, oh, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Like, wait a minute. What did they do to earn this? Okay, I get it. Fighting for number 1 and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But in the best of 7 series, really, they're the favorites to win it all against the Celtics. And then came the Dallas Mavericks. That's what I drew the line. I said, okay,
Yeah.
you guys. And I
Yeah.
mean, national media, talking heads, whoever you want to label them, however you want to label them. Like, it's anyone but the Celtics, isn't it? Like, that's the way I saw it.
Yeah, at a certain point, everyone's just got to kind of eat it, but
Right.
they won't,
Well,
and it
think-
doesn't matter. And then Kyrie just didn't show up, and Luka's got to whatever. That stuff's so dumb.
Never mind the fact that they just got their ass kicked by a better team.
Well,
Yeah,
think
it's just
of-
they
let's just
just
keep it
got
that
they got
simple.
beat by a
Flat out.
much better team. I mean, it's just a much better team.
And think about where they stand. Luka, Kyrie, those guys are going to go into next year and say, we got to do more. We got to do more. We got to get better. Us too.
Celtics are like, do we have too much?
Jokic.
Right.
Jokic is going to go into next year saying, I got to do more. I got to get better. Giannis, all the way down the line. The Celtics just roll in the next year and say, let's just do what we did again.
Yeah.
That's all they really have to
Literally,
do.
yeah.
It doesn't.
Hope
Tatum
for
doesn't
some
have to
injury
level
luck.
up.
Yeah,
Brown doesn't have to level
but
up.
they
They're-
might.
I think you have to.
They could, though.
But you can't be complacent.
No, you can't.
You have to have the mindset of everyone else is going to get better. We have to get better. So they do have to figure out ways to get better. And the good news is, Bobby, they're still at an age where they can get better, right? I mean, I'm not saying every single player on the team, but you're talking about your Tatum, you're talking about Brown. There's parts of their game that they can improve upon still. I mean, we've seen it with Tatum this year, whether it's the playmaking, whether it's the rebounding. We saw it with Brown, whether it was decision making, just scoring. Derek White improved his game pretty much in every single facet of it.
Wouldn't it be something if we get a White extension tomorrow? That'd be better than the championship.
Yeah, much better.
Is he drunk? Let's get him in front of that contract. Yeah.
And a Porzingis
Give him a couple
trade.
more
I know you were
drinks.
talking about that too. Let's get into that a little bit. No,
yeah.
we're not going to do that.
I was like, are we really?
No, we're not going
Like,
to.
damn.
Season talk, damn it.
No, no, we're not doing
Drafts,
that.
drafts coming up.
I'm not
Drafts
ready,
coming
I'm not
up
ready
here.
for dynasty talk or off-season talk yet, but I do think it's very fair to, kind of, agree with what you guys said. There's no reason they won't run it back.
No.
Nobody here, but that's not something we decided tonight. When this team was put together and they immediately, I mean, look at what's happened to the
Pritchard
team
will be
already.
better.
You know you have Tatum on a supermax. You signed Brown already.
agent, we'll see.
You brought in Porzingis and immediately signed him to extension. Then you signed Drew to an extension as well. And now White, you're locking it up.
They have to re-sign Cornette.
Luke. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'm
yeah, there you go.
They have to. No,
He's your third center.
we'll get to that later.
But they might, though.
They should.
Nah, yo, Give Tillman
Yeah, let him go
that
get some money.
extension when he's up.
Tillman's
Just think the order in which Cornette came. You know, we were just talking about
Luke Cornett's a
Tatum, Brown,
champion.
Holiday, Porzingis.
Did you talk
White,
to him?
And somehow we jumped down to Cornette. That's fine.
I couldn't
Starting
hear him,
five
but I talked
to
to him.
bottom five.
Yeah. No, but
I wanted Luke to catch a lob so bad. One of the great one of the bummers just from an entertainment standpoint is what a shitty second half it was. The third quarter,
it was a
both teams played
Yeah.
horribly, or just they couldn't get anything going, and then you didn't have any like victory cigar Gino moments. The last like 5 possessions was just Tatum ISO
Yeah,
brick.
it was like
Brown ISO
4
brick.
minutes, 3
and then
minutes.
It was like
Pritchard
I wanted
had the
like
moment.
I want the scrub to
was gonna
come
say
in
that,
and
yeah.
friggin' windmill dunk it or something, or a lob to Cornette.
Right.
You needed something to set the crowd
How
up
about
and off.
Pritchard though?
that
You know
was
what?
that
He
was
I mean,
it.
gone.
it happened when Tatum hit those back-to-back buckets. Timeout. We
Yeah.
knew that was it. Victory cigar time at that point. But the last 5-6 minutes, I wanted something fun.
Right.
you know, to happen.
I tried to ask him in the locker room again. It was so crazy in there, but he demanded a trade. He was gone. They had a trade set up, him and Gallinari for Jakob Poeltl last year. And he would have been down in San Antonio scoring 20, 25 points a game. We would have been like, why'd they get rid of Pritchard?
25 points a game.
Right,
I
wow.
mean, maybe on that team.
I don't know about 25 a game, Bobby.
Pritchard's like the
I don't know about 25.
before they remember the in baseball before the nerds ruined baseball, John. You could have a guy come in and just be a one out specialist.
Yeah.
That's Pritchard now.
Yeah.
He just comes in for the half court
I
heave.
friggin' love that. Right.
He just
get
comes
this
in.
lefty
It's
out.
unreal. Me
Right.
and Jimmy were sitting right there, and I was like, look, here he comes. And
Yeah.
they threw it up and
They
hit
put him
it.
in 4
It was
seconds
unreal.
left. Kid goes, leave him open, leave him
It was
wide open.
Luka.
That's the you know, if you're ever one of those fans that like tries to rush to the concession or the bathroom just before
Yeah.
you know the stands. So I was
Can't do it anymore.
I was running down to go see someone who was in the seats, and everyone came flooding out of the
Oh,
arena after
no.
they saw it.
You go
I've never
upstream.
seen a happier group of
Yeah.
people coming out of the arena for the
Yeah.
bathroom. Everyone's like. After he hit that, like the high everybody's
It was
riding
so
on.
sick.
Some of them looking at their phones,
They
they're
were like-
watching what they
people
saw.
were
Yeah.
Woo! Just high-fiving
Because
each other,
everybody
just-
knew it was
Yeah.
coming. I guess except
Everyone was
Kid.
So
But then
pumped.
just like
talk about mood, to just carry you through the whole halftime. You know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was so good.
Pritchard.
That time
man.
flew by. Yeah, that's accurate.
That was
For sure.
terrific.
It went from 18 to 21.
that got
was
the
a real
vibes.
moment.
Yeah, that got the vibes really. I mean, you couldn't go in a half any better
And
than
in
that.
Dallas, you're just like, ugh. Like,
Yeah.
especially Luka. He looked at the thing going and just like, really?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're doing? Yeah, man. Great stuff.
That was awesome.
Great
I
stuff.
mean-
Great moments here at TD Garden.
Yeah,
good
it was. That was great.
It was like a Leon Poe type moment.
It was
Yo,
awesome.
it really
Going back
was.
to 08.
Pritchard's like probably halfway to the Cape now or something.
Well, I remember in 08, the entire fourth quarter was just like a long,
That was a party.
yeah, just a party the whole time. But again,
And they couldn't stop making threes. That was awesome.
amazing. There was still a little bit of trepidation. Even I felt like it was a 19-point lead for the entire game.
I know.
And we were like sweating it, you know.
I was
because
like,
it's
just
just like
hit a
drop,
couple
sweep
shots.
the leg, drop
Yeah.
the hammer, you know.
Yeah.
And they didn't quite
Dallas they had nothing.
Yeah.
They just had nothing in the
Well, it
tank.
was fitting. We kept waiting all year for the old Celtics to come back or their brutal collapse to happen, and it never did. Again, they only lost 2 games in a row at most all year, so
do it. Yeah.
they were a different team. They were
They did.
clearly different.
We are approaching 3 o'clock Eastern time, and we are going to wrap it up because we have been going for a long time. And so I will
Don't
throw it
forget the
down
merch
line.
though first.
Okay, merch. You go. You can do it.
Go ahead,
All
Jimmy.
right. Well,
Hey,
real
Ahmed,
quick
do you have a
before we go
promo you
along
can
the
throw out
line,
for us?
guys, we have this one right here. This one right here. This one right here. Okay. Hit the merch store. I don't even know the URL, but hopefully it's blasted up on the screen. But the CLNS merch store. We have a couple of Banner 18 items that we just launched right as the buzzer sounded. You see the green hard hats, folks. Hard hats, lunch pails, steel toe boots. We got white ones now. Hard hats, lunch pails, Banner 18. Clean white hard hat. These are limited edition. There's only, I'm not going to say how many are made, but we're not ordering it anymore. I don't think anyways, when they sell out, which they will. And then we've got the t-shirt. I call it the name drop tee. All the names you know from the Celtics on your shirt with the Banner 18. If we have the graphic up, I'm not sure if we do, but it's a nice looking shirt. We do have large and extra large back in stock. They were going real quick, so small, medium, large, extra large. I even think 2XL. So for the big boys and girls out there who want to rep CLNS and want to rep the Celtics after the Banner 18 situation that occurred tonight.
Yeah.
Hit that store.
Champions.
And
Let's
we do
go.
appreciate all the support, guys. We really do. And honestly, the parade's coming up on Friday. You want to get as much green and white hardware and merch as you can get. I'm not saying that I should preface that by saying I'm not saying you're going to get these for the parade, but who knows? I don't know the shipping situation.
Yeah, tell 'em, baby.
Yeah. There we go. Nice.
Hey.
So let's do it.
Off season.
Let's
Nice.
do
Oh,
it.
Celtics are
I
champions.
got my confetti.
I need you to pick all of that up, though.
I haven't got confetti since
All right, look, down the line, guys.
Pat Super Bowl.
Final thoughts here. Just putting a bow on this season and everything. Start with you, Josue.
Man, champion Celtics, 2024 champions, man. Like, I know we all expected this thing to happen. I know that the bar was set high, but this team, they showed us that they were capable, more than capable, with the talent, with what they've been through. I mean, the way they went through the postseason, getting to the finals, all that, and they deserve every moment of just celebration, praise, man. Like, look, I don't even want to hear anyone talk about dynasty for the next week or so. Just soak this one in, all right? This team worked their asses off. I felt like the national media was just like anyone but the Celtics, but they went through it, and I'm just so proud of them, honestly, man. That moment for Jason Tatum on the sideline, getting emotional with Al Horford. I mean, Jaylen Brown, the way he looked when he first heard his name called, his Finals MVP. All that stuff, man. You guys earned it. So proud of this team. For you Celtics fans out there, man, I know you guys didn't give up. I know you guys saw this coming, believed in it, and enjoy it. Soak it all in. Parade coming up this weekend here in Boston. We got a heat wave in the 617.
That's right.
They won it on
It's like
617
100
day.
degrees.
Never forget this day, Celtics fans out there. And I don't know. I'll see you guys next time, all right? But soak it in, all right? And don't let all the haters say what they got to say. But, hey, soak
Hi,
it in.
haters.
Enjoy this ish. Yeah,
Hi,
exactly.
haters.
Hi, haters.
We need a
Bye,
t-shirt.
haters. Enjoy your off season, but especially you Celtics fans out there, man.
Nice. Well said,
There
Josue.
you go. Got it all up. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you.
I'm so thrilled Al got one. That's the
Yo,
biggest thing to
too.
me. Yeah,
We'll see.
he was ready in 2022. The team wasn't. 2023 comes back at a higher level. 2024, he's still here. He's still starting. He's still carrying a massive weight, 35, 40 minutes at 38. And he's going to be back next year. I don't have any doubt about that. Just talking to everyone around him. He wants to play for as long as he can. He's even talked about that. So I don't think there's any doubt that Al's going to come back and try to win a second here.
I hope so. I think he owes it to the team.
Weird talk about, like, is Al going to hang it? He's not hanging it up.
No.
He's going to play.
Yeah, he's gonna play.
I'm scared because they sold his house or at least it's on the market, but he's just getting a bigger house, all right? He's got a new kid. The family continues to grow.
He's
for
moving
Al.
on up.
He's moving on up. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not
Generic
like he
child.
don't got the
Legitimate
money to make
Celtic
that
legend
move.
Yeah.
Come on.
He's still getting paid to play. He's gonna show up and play.
Exactly.
It's kind of crazy. His arrival changed everything here. It gave them a credibility. It gave them a star.
He's their
Oh, yeah,
legit
yeah,
first
his
free
first-
agent.
first
That's
time,
the first time, but then he left,
Yep.
and we're mad at him for that. And then
bringing
Now
him back
we're
was a
over it.
turning
then we
point
brought
too.
it back. Yeah.
Definitely. When they brought him back, they saved him from OKC, right?
Yeah.
That was Brad's
Jimmy?
first big
But
move.
shout out to that training camp, though. The training staff rather that prepared him for that for that next stint with the Celtics.
OKC did them a real solid with
Yeah,
that
they
move.
did,
They
man.
took on Kemba too.
I'll keep mine quick. I mean, this year felt different from the start, and we've been a part of a lot of seasons, dating back years and years, and just when this team got assembled, and it was quick, like you guys talked about, and then getting Holiday right before the season started like that
What a
just felt
moment.
like, wow, this team is built to win a championship. They need to understand this moment. They need to understand that on paper, they've got everything they need. They just got to go out there and do it, Bobby, Josue, and they did. And I mean, it just feels like I don't want to say that I'm not surprised because it makes it seem like I'm a know-it-all, but it did feel like this season was different. There were a couple little blips in the radar and all that stuff, but for the most part, you got a team that was expected to win. They did that. They carried that through into the playoffs, and they saw the whole thing through. So, mission accomplished, I guess I would say. And again, like you guys, I feel the same way. There's no reason to believe that they can't repeat next season?
Yeah, I mean, they'll go into it certainly as a favorite, but for me, just watching the way Jalen and Jason evolved as a tandem, you know, they've caught a lot of heat and a lot of flack for not being able to work as well as some might think they should. And I like the way that they have figured this out on their own. And they don't necessarily subscribe to the narratives that most people want them to have. Like, you know, Tatum, you're the best scorer, and so you go out there and you get points. And Tatum's like, you know, I can drop dimes too, and I can rebound too, right? And Jalen, you're not really a great shooter, and yet Jalen is drilling the biggest shots in the postseason for them.
Yeah, that's true.
Being really aggressive offensively and giving himself a chance to be an elite defender, something that his talent and physical gifts should afford him the opportunity to do that. And it seemed like this year he finally started putting that to work at both ends of the floor. So just watching the way those two have grown, them winning a championship, and again, your two best players are 27 and 26 years old.
And that's the thing. It's just to double down on it. I think
splitting
that
them up was huge.
Well, yeah, but I think that's the big thing, and the big takeaway is, you know, for a long time, the thought was, well, just get them more help, and then you would get them some help, and maybe it was or it wasn't enough, and then you get to the finals, you fall short, and you think it's coming, and then last year, you know, kind of falls flat and looks ugly, and you start to question, like, is it them? You know, and then you put a team together around them, and like, fair or not fair, if you didn't win, that's who you would look at. You would have looked at Tatum and Brown, and I think regardless of the fact that they did win, I think it was, if you didn't win, it was because winning is hard, not because they necessarily choked it, because they showed that level of maturity that they didn't show in years past, where they knew what it took. Just sometimes it's just hard doing it, and they did it. So, like, I think you can put a lot of those questions to rest, and I think it changes you, like, now and forever. Now that you've done it, it's hard to repeat because it's hard to win, but the fact that they know that they can do it themselves as the front guys, they're cemented in there. So that changes it a lot, and we've been tough.
They could be better next year, John.
And they absolutely could be better, because you look at, and again, the 2008 comparisons, the 2009 team was better. They were so good. They would have steamrolled if Garnett doesn't go down with an injury there. That team was murdering people. So yes, they absolutely can hit another level. I think Brown and Tatum can hit another level, and I think they play together another year and they can hit another level. So I think you have that to look forward to. Before we wrap it all up, I do want to just kind of say a series of thank yous across the board. We'll start with the head honcho, Nick Gelso, without whom none of this is possible. Nick had a vision. Nick had a dream. It was Celtics late night show, believe it or not, which is what we're doing right now. That's what CLNS stands for. Okay.
It's happening.
And it's happening.
It's happening.
Moment,
it's the Celtics late night
We're
show.
literally doing it, Nick. We're doing the thing. We're doing the name.
Yeah.
And so this began as internet radio and a blog, and like, please just let me be near the Celtics because I think it's fun. And it's turned into something that I hope you guys all enjoy.
Worldwide.
And that we love. We're worldwide. We're
shipping
in the
hard hats all over the
Australia,
damn place.
Nigeria, wherever.
Philippines.
So we do appreciate that. Guy Neer, the guy who helps us pay the bills. Without Guy Neer, director of sales, we wouldn't be able to do any of this stuff. George Danello, who probably keeps us out of jail by making sure that the books are clean. And
we like George.
It makes that all work.
Keep him, please.
Yeah. Keep George, please. Behind the scenes, we have to give a monster shout out, and Ahmed has to come from behind the camera.
Come on, Ahmed.
Oh yeah, get him out here.
The man and the myth.
Get him out here. Yeah.
Ahmed is a real person. Just lay down across all of our laps.
Yeah.
Shout out to everyone in the Discord that I talk to all the time.
Oh yeah, it's my guy right here, Ahmed.
Get
in there.
Yeah. Shout out to the Discord, he said.
Champion, baby.
Shout out to the chat.
Discord's still going strong, huh?
Ahmed is a guy. Jackson Tolliver, new producer we brought on behind the scenes, has done a phenomenal job through all of this. Joey Capone as well. And that's just the CLNS Media crew across the board. Joe Sway, Bobby, Jimmy, Sherrod. Tireless work doing all of this stuff. Look, we're not going to pretend it's actual work. We're sitting here and we're talking about sports, but it's a commitment from these guys, and they do it, and they do it well. And so thank you to all of these guys. And we have to thank you guys, the chat,
Yeah.
the fans.
It's the family, man.
I can't
This
believe
is like COVID crew, basically.
COVID crew.
People who approach Bobby and I all the time, whether here on the road, like that stuff really means a lot to us, man.
Yeah.
We appreciate it, man. Thank you for bringing that up, John. I just said that at the end of my spiel at the end, but yeah, seriously, man, you guys are what make this show what it is. And we're going to continue to grow, obviously, but that wouldn't be possible without you guys.
Yeah, it's
Means a lot.
100%. And like I'm almost embarrassed by it. Someone's like, I watch you, and I'm like, why? You know, because it just feels like we're just goofing around.
Joe Mazzulla's mom approached me today, man. Like, this is incredible. Seriously, man, this show's really taken off. It's been huge.
It is funny because the whole point of the show when we started it was just like we just wanted it to be like friends talking about sports because we weren't allowed to like meet up with each other and talk about sports. It's like, hey, do you want to just do this? We're like, yeah. Keep it light, just keep it casual, just act normal. I'm like, all right, and here we are doing it, still doing it.
Yeah, and it's fun because we kind of just spoke it into existence.
Yeah.
Like we just did it, and all of a sudden it became a thing, and it became popular, weirdly enough, because of you guys. And I'm not, I don't think it's bragging to say it. It's probably the most watched or consumed Celtics podcast in the market, which is phenomenal. Phenomenal.
There we go.
Buy those two.
No, we've brought people in the building.
John. You are
Like
not
that's what they want. Like people all over the world want to see what it's like in here. They want to
Yeah.
see the interviews in full, and that's the cool thing.
But I think I think we also, not to toot our own horns, but I think we connect with, we connect, we have like
talk to the people.
We have a relationship with these guys, right? With you guys. We
Hard
don't just
hats,
talk to
lunch
you.
pails.
We read
don't
the
talk
chat.
at you
Toe
because
boots.
it's like-
Even when you say nasty stuff, we
yeah,
read the chat.
people say hurtful things to me all the time.
Oh
That's
my
okay.
God, you guys hate me. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
fine.
okay.
It's fine.
I thrive off
I might
off the
have
hate.
taken about 3
Hi,
weeks
haters.
off from reading the
Hi,
comment
haters.
section. That's
Hi,
all right,
haters.
guys.
Hi, haters.
All right, we had our ups and downs, It
Yeah.
happens.
No, it is great. So thank you very much. On a selfish personal note, 617 has it was when they won the last championship. We know that. 617 they won it again. 617 the Boston area code and all of those things. 617 also 12 years ago. On 617 was Father's Day, and it was also when my first daughter Esme was born. It's a very special day. It's no longer 617, it's 618. But happy birthday to Esme, the love of my life, and always my number one girl.
And 6/17 is my mom's birthday.
Yep, there
So
you
happy
go.
birthday to my mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. And thank you guys again for hanging out with us for the entire season. We're not done. Honestly, you'll
Parade
still be
Friday.
seeing us. We got a
We ain't
Parade
going
Friday. We'll do
nowhere.
some form of parade coverage for sure. And we'll probably hop on in the next day or so and do some sort of post-mortem as we kind of digest it all. We have
The
tons and
draft's in
tons.
9 days, John.
Oh God.
We have tons and tons and tons of cool footage too. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channels and check that out because we've got Locker Room Celebration, a
need
whole
a
bunch of
break.
stuff, and we'll upload it all. A terrific Instagram account. I forgot to mention because I ducked away from me. Richie LeMay, who's an absolute stalwart on social media.
He's got the
He's
players.
raging
He's got the
with the
players.
players right
The
now.
players are hired.
Yeah,
to celebrate.
I almost skipped Richie, and I feel bad. Richie with killer footage from the games, after the game,
Makes us look
uploading
good.
it to our Instagram account, makes us all look good. So go check out that stuff as well on our social media accounts. And just keep following. We'll keep growing this thing, and we'll be back next year. Well, we'll be back probably tomorrow, but we'll
I ain't
certainly be
leaving.
back.
We're not going anywhere.
We'll certainly be back next year. Bobby's. This is the first time I've seen Bobby more tired than these boomers over here, and he's still got some
Well
work to do.
deserved.
So we are going to wrap it again. Thank
Someone's
you.
got
We
some
love
Buy a
you.
hard hat.
research to do.
Buy hard merch.
Banner
The last
18.
thing I'm going to tell you to do is give me money. We were just telling him how much we love him.
We do.
But check out
Don't
that.
give me more money.
Get a hard hat. Maybe we'll be giving some away on the parade day too.
I'll take some money.
Maybe on the parade day we'll be giving some away.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you. Celtics do it. Banner 18, most
Sir.
championships in NBA history. They got that one.
One more than what team?
Oh, they got it
Yeah.
back. They got it back. They got it back.
confetti.
Yeah, we got it
The
back.
Lakers are looking good, huh?
Yeah, they're doing.
Good job, everybody.
Hey.
Nice.
We'll see you guys later. Good night, all.